Someone Better by I_am_Ellie on AO3. Episode 16, Chapter 14, Parental Material. So, Unki's show, Izuku's tiny voice drawled, and Shouta already felt nervous. Both Shouta and Hizashi looked up from their meals to give the child their attention. I was wondering... Oh no. There's gonna be this new kid in my class this week? Izuku said. He's coming from America. And me and my friends were wondering if we could have a sleepover. Here. Please? You just got in trouble at school, Shouta stated dryly. And you're already asking for special privileges. Mm-hmm. 5 kids in one apartment, Hizashi said. Where would we put them? There's nowhere near enough space. Not to mention that our schedules are too unpredictable. I don't think it'd be possible, kiddo. Oh, Izuku said. Well, would they be able to come for a playdate, maybe? I really want to get to know this new kid. Hizashi looked over at him. I will think about it, Shouta finally said. Eat your dinner. Izuku nodded, hurrying to finish his dinner. Movie time, Izuku explained. Sliding down from his chair, he marched towards the living room. Shower first, child, Shouta called after him. The boy turned on his heel, still marching with purpose, only to the bathroom this time. Shower time! Shouta waited until he heard the bathroom door close. I do not like children, Shouta stated bluntly. You seem to like Izuku just fine, Hizashi pointed out, sparing another piece of pork. He's the exception to the rule, Shouta said. Children make me uncomfortable. They're loud and messy, and they know things they don't need to know, and they have no filter. I can hardly handle Izuku. It would only be for a day, Hizashi said, wiping at his face with a napkin. Maybe 3 hours at most. Izuku's friends are all right. Not too chaotic. We don't know the other child, Shouta pointed out. The American child. Handmei is chaotic. Her hobby is inventing potato weaponry and imitating birds. Babe, if you don't want a bunch of kids in the house, we don't have to let anyone come over, Hizashi said. Izuku would understand, I think. It's not like he doesn't see them at school every day anyways. Shouta squirmed uncomfortably. I don't want to disappoint him, Shouta admitted. He's had a very bad few days. Okay, let's look at this in a different way, Hizashi suggested. Is it just that you don't want to interact with children, or do you not want them in the apartment? Shouta frowned. I suppose I don't want them in the apartment. Problem solved then. We could work something out with their parents and take them to a park or something, Hizashi said, going back to eating his food. That works, Shouta admitted. He took another bite of food, before sighing, pushing the plate away, and slumping back against his chair. I'm being selfish. Not letting Izuku's friends come over just because I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm being selfish. Having boundaries about your personal space isn't selfish, Sho. All parents have them, and the apartment is your personal space. There's nothing wrong with not wanting 5 gremlins in your house. I'm not a parent, Shouta protested. Okay, Sho. I'm not, Shouta stated. He's my nephew. I'm not his father. I can't replace his father. I don't know how to be a father. Therefore, I am not. I'm his uncle. There's nothing more to this than that. You're also his legal guardian. That was a matter of circumstances, Shouta said. And I didn't adopt him. All I did was get legal custody of him. Legally speaking, I am no more that child's parent than you are. But you treat him like he's yours. Shouta frowned. I don't. He crossed his arms, gripping his elbows. Treating the kid with human decency doesn't make him mine. I'm going into this entire thing blind. All I'm doing is treating him like how I wish my dad treated me. You're raising him, Hizashi stated plainly. You're taking care of him, you're making sure he has lunch, and you button up his shirts and tie his ties, and you drive him to school every morning. You let him cry on you, and you comb his hair, and you read him bedtime stories, and you remind him to take a bath before movie time. Hizashi shrugged. Sounds like you're a bit past the I'm just his uncle point here, Sho. Shota's eyes widened, and he opened his mouth to argue forward, before snapping it closed with an audible click when Izuku came barreling back out of the hallway, damp hair making little wet spots on his pajama shirt. Your hair is wet, Shouta stated, standing up. Dry it and get me a brush so we can take care of it while it's still wet. What do you want to watch tonight? Wolverine! It's PG-13. No, we've been through this. Aww. Izuku tapped his chin and thought. Lilo and Stitch? I don't think I've watched that one, Shouta admitted. Izuku gasped. What? He shrieked. Shouta winced. Inside voice. He shrieked. Shouta winced. Inside voice Izuku. Hizashi called from where he was gathering dishes. Sorry, Unkies, it's just... Izuku gasped again, hands flapping excitedly. I can't wait to show you the movie now. It's so good, and the alien dog Stitch is so funny, and Lilo is so nice, and... Wait. Alien dog? Oh my god, breathe, cabbage. Izuku took a deep breath of air. I just can't wait. Inside voice, Izuku. Hizashi called again from the kitchen. Izuku bounced up and down on the couch as Hizashi sorted through the vast array of Disney movies to find Lilo and Stitch. Hizashi had always been a big Disney fan as a kid, and he had gone on a shopping spree for any Disney film he could get his hands on after they adopted Izuku. Shouta had thought it a thoughtless endeavor at the time, since they'd been short on money before the funeral bills, and buying over $100 worth of Disney films wasn't going to help much. But he had to admit it was useful now. And Shouta could honestly admit he loved this movie. The animation was soft and colorful, and the music pleasant to listen to. Lilo and Stitch were both very relatable characters, Shouta finding many of his odd mannerisms in the little girl and her alien dog. And admittedly, Nani and Lilo's complicated situation reminded him quite a bit of his and Izuku's. Izuku and Shouta were both enraptured by the movie, and Sho hadn't even questioned it when Izuku sprawled on the couch, head falling to rest in Shota's lap. He merely patted Izuku's head absent-mindedly and directed all his focus on the movie, leaning up against Hisashi's shoulders as he watched it. He wasn't sure when his eyes slipped shut, and he drifted off. Only that he did. Sho, babe, wake up, we have patrol. Shouta groaned, sitting up and rubbing at his eyes tiredly. The end credits of the movie were playing, and the clock on the wall said it was exactly 7 p.m. Izuku was asleep with his head resting on his lap, hair already a mess, even though Shouta had brushed it before starting the movie. Figures. Move the child, Shouta requested, and Hizashi bent down to pick Izuku up. Izuku didn't stir, merely shifting slightly to snuggle closer to the man and resting his face in the crook of his neck. Nemuri on the way? Should be here by the time we're suited up, Hizashi said, carrying the sleeping boy to his bedroom. Shouta headed to their own bedroom, feet dragging as he changed from his sweater and pants into his tracksuit. The goggles he pulled on rested on the crown of his head until he was out in the field, and the capture weapon was waiting on the hook by the door, right along with Hisashi's speaker. Hizashi walked into the room after a few minutes, heading straight to the closet and pulling out his leather jacket, sunglasses, and headphones, before heading to the bathroom to gel up his hair and get dressed. Shouta wandered back into the living area, trying to settle his nerves through pacing. He shouldn't have to. He'd been going on patrols long enough to know the process, but he still found himself pacing on his nerves before every patrol. Tap, Tap, tap. There was a knock on the door, and Shouta knew it was Nemuri because only Nemuri would knock in the tune of the song Sex and Candy. Shouta opened the door, letting the woman in, who immediately collapsed on his couch and started scrolling through his TV. Mind if I steal some snacks? I skipped dinner. Long patrol. Shouta frowned. You shouldn't be skipping out on meals. There's leftover from dinner in the fridge. Just heat them up in the microwave. They're in the blue Tupperware container. Shouta ignored the fact that was supposed to be his lunch tomorrow. There were vending machines at his work, and it wasn't like he would have been able to keep it down for his entire shift anyways. It was fine. Oh, thanks, Sho, Nemuri said, walking into his kitchen and rummaging through until she found the blue Tupperware. Is the kid asleep? Yes, Shouta answered, sitting on the couch and waiting for Hizashi to finish getting ready so they could go. He fell asleep watching Lilo and Stitch. Remember to call us if anything happens when we're gone, and to update us hourly. I know, Sho, Nemuri said. I've only been babysitting the kid for months now. I know how this works. Go do your patrol. Hizashi walked out of the bathroom, and his hair was gelled back into its usual cockatiel-like style. His prescription glasses were gone, replaced by contacts, and his sunglasses were fixed firmly over his face. You know what I hate most about being a hero? Hizashi asked them. The hours? Nemuri suggested. Threat of injury? Shitty pay? Nope to all of those, Hizashi said. The uniforms. Leather jacket every day, all year round? Thank God it's fall. I don't think I'd be able to handle any more summer weather in this thing. He pointed at Nemuri and Shouta both. You don't understand the struggle. All you wear is tracksuits, and you don't really wear anything, to be honest. Nemuri threw her shoe at him. Hey, I'm not judging. It's smart with your quirk and all. I'm just saying, make summer weather a whole lot easier. They call you the R-rated hero, Shouta informed her. There's a lot of complaints at the agency about you, now that you've become more of a popular hero. They're saying you're not markable enough or appropriate because of your costume. I think it's ignorance, since the costume makes your job and your ability to protect civilians easier. But other people don't seem to like that. Nemuri shrugged. People will see me how they want to see me, Nemuri stated nonchalantly. If they want to see me as an R-rated hero, so be it. It's none of their business how I choose to present myself to the public anyhow. Nemuri sighed. The agency is thinking about changing my hero uniform, though, putting a skin-tight outfit under the actual getup with a thin fabric that's easy to tear. That is unethical, Shouta said, frowning. Yes, your costume is vulgar, but that's just to accentuate your hero persona, Shouta stated. Which is just another part of my hero work, Nemuri added on. Let the villains think they know what to expect from you. And I just really like my hero costume. There's also the factor that this could put you at risk in the field, Hizashi added. Yes, a skin-tight fabric that's easy to tear makes it better, but it's also precious seconds that are wasted when you could have incapacitated whatever villain you're already fighting. That's what I said, Nemuri exclaimed, a little too loudly. Hizashi was quick to frantically shush her, pointing at the hallway where Izuku's bedroom resided. Oops. There's also the fact that there's a lot of men in the field who wear more revealing outfits for their quirks, and they have never had to change their hero costumes. Shouta added, I think there's a hero from a different agency who just runs around naked because he has a Charmeleon-type quirk. It's kind of sexist, if you think about it. Exactly, Nemuri said, jumping up slightly. Male heroes could run around in revealing uniforms and not be given a second glance. But when I do it, and it's for my quirk and my persona, I'm the R-rated hero and everyone feels the need to dictate how I operate. Hizashi glanced at his watch and hissed. As much as I love getting into the heated conversations about the double standard for women, Hizashi said. And that wasn't sarcasm. I actually have a lot to say on this topic. Oh my god. We are going to be late for patrol if we don't leave now. Shouta sighed, standing up slowly and making his way over to his capture weapon, grabbing it and wrapping it around his shoulders. Do you need your brace, babe? Hizashi asked, looking the slightest bit concerned. I don't like wearing it in the field, Shouta stated, adjusting his capture weapon. It makes mobility more difficult. Yes, but you do need it. Shouta frowned. Probably, he admitted. The temperature is dropping rapidly, and it's human. It does not feel the best today. Hizashi nodded, running back to their bedroom, and returned a moment later with the brace, handing it to Shouta, who sighed and sat on the couch. He rolled up the pant leg of his tracksuit, fitting the knee brace over his knee before rolling the pant leg back down. Sho, Nemuri said, sounding like she was equal measured awe and a little bit ill. Your knee looks like shit. And so it did. There were still multiple surgery scars over the knee, jagged white lines running over the knee itself, little dots where the pins had been jammed in and yanked out, a long, patchy-looking scar where the pole itself had hit his leg and crushed his knee, and alone his calf, a rough, wide scar where the bone had broken and had gutted out the skin. Sometimes it hurt to look at it, like he could feel when he glances at it, when he traces the scar. It's how much it had hurt when that villain had crushed his leg, had tortured and taunted him before leaving him to bleed out. It felt the same way when he was running a hand through his hair and a finger brushed against the thin, rough scar behind his ear. Sometimes he could still feel the clippers buzzing along his scalp. I'm aware, Shouta said, and he hoped he hadn't offended her by how gruff his voice sounded. He did not want to delve into this topic of conversation. We should probably go, Hizashi said awkwardly, standing to the side. Shouta nodded, standing up and heading towards the door. The brace was already starting to alleviate some of the pain. As soon as he was out of the apartment building, he was on the nearest rooftop, running across and jumping to the next one, and the next, and the next. Hizashi and Shota's jobs were complicated at times. Their duties changed quite a bit when it came to what their patrols were. Sometimes they merely had to watch out for petty crime. Sometimes they would hook them up to the radio and signal them in when something big needed to be taken down. It changed within the week. And tonight was a petty crime night, which meant a lot of walking on roofs, waiting for something to stumble into their paths. Shouta wasn't ashamed to admit he enjoyed these nights, when everything was slow and low stress, and all he had to do was wait around and listen. It was relaxing. Hizashi didn't seem so keen on letting him actually relax. Hizashi stuck close to him as he moved from building to building that night, all throughout their shift, tailing him like a shadow, even stepping in to help fight off a mugger who was assaulting an elderly man. He helped him get a dog down from a tree, and honestly, how had that happened? And he had helped him stop a convenience store from being held up. Shouta knew he should be appreciative of the help, but he honestly wasn't sure how to feel about it. He took a break 2 hours into his 4-hour shift, resting on a rooftop and looking down at the cars gliding past below. Looking for petty crime reminded him a lot of the days he spent haunting rooftops and abandoned buildings with his sister, always in the wrong part of town and seeking out villain fights so he could watch the heroes win over and over again. And tell his sister, that's gonna be me too one day, Inko. Just you wait. Petty theft shifts suddenly seemed a lot less relaxing. He scratched at his hair, right behind his ear. He could still feel the buzzing. Hizashi sat down next to him. Why are you so insistent that you're not a parent? He asked him. Because I'm not. Shouta answered simply. I have no legal or biological children of my own. That much is obvious, I should think, as I am gay. But when I implied you were Izuku's parent, you got very defensive. Because I'm not, Shouta said. I'm not his parent. Not in any sense of the word. Why is that so hard to comprehend? He wasn't sure why he felt defensive or irritated or even angry. He didn't, but he still felt that way. Hizashi shrugged. I'm just trying to understand where your head is at, Hizashi said softly. I want to know you're okay. No one knows where my head's at. Shouta stated. No one knows how my mind ticks, remember? That's not your fault. Hizashi said, quickly and firmly. I know that, Shouta said. I'm not his parent. You act like you are. And that's what Izuku needs. A parent. I'm not what Izuku needs. You're doing everything for that boy. Hizashi said. Don't you think I don't know what's been going on with you? I know how sensitive you are to noises. I know you've been getting sick at work and that your boss is losing patience with you. I know how much your schedule is affecting you. And you have not complained once. That has nothing to do with Izuku, Shouta said. That has to do with me being in debt. And you're trying to get out of debt for Izuku. Of course I am, Shouta said. If I die, all that debt goes to Izuku, since he's my next of kin and my ward. You just proved my point. Shouta frowned. I'm not parent-like. I'm not parent material. I'm not. Why are you doing this? Hizashi asked. Why do you get so defensive about this? I don't know. Shouta heard Hizashi's words in his head before the other man had the chance to say them. Talk it out. I'm not doing this to replace Inko, Shouta said. Inko was his parent. Hizashi was his parent. I'm just the freaky uncle who he got landed with. You're not freaky, Hizashi said. You're not replacing anyone, okay? You're not. You're doing what's best for Izuku by providing him with a stable life and offering him a constant figure to look up to in his life. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know how parenting works, Shouta said. Everything I do, everything I say, I'm never completely sure if I'm doing right. And it's exhausting and terrifying. I did not have a consistent figure. Inko raised me, and after she left, I raised myself. I don't know how parents are supposed to treat their children because my parents were never there. I don't want to make that mistake. He could feel the buzzing again, and he wanted to rip at his hair just because his mother would have hated seeing it. But he didn't. His hands fell onto elbows, familiarly tapping away. You're not going to repeat their mistakes, Hizashi said. That's not how this works, okay? That's not gonna happen. You're better than them, Sho. You're a better person, and a better partner, and better with children too. Sho, I have never met your parents, but if they left you because you operate differently, imagine what they would have done to Izuku after realizing he was quirkless. You're already leagues ahead of them, just by giving that boy a home. Okay? Shouta stayed silent for a long while. I'm not parent material, Shouta said. I'm not right for Izuku. I have no idea what I'm doing, and there are a dozen people out there that are better than me. He said it plainly. No emotion behind his words. Quick and factual. But his voice cracked slightly. But, Hizashi prompted. Shouta sighed. I want to be parent material for the cabbage. Hizashi laughed quietly. Well, Hizashi said, I'd say you already have a strong start then. Before I get into the psychology corner, I love psychology corner. I have a lot to talk about this time, but no. Before I do that, I want to read the notes. So, here's the notes. I'm going to be honest here. I am not the biggest fan of Midnight. There, I said it. But I do very much like the concept of her character, so I made a tiny bit OOC, so she isn't, a creep. Not bashing on Midnight lovers, y'all are awesome. I just want to explain why she's a bit OOC in the story. Anyways, please comment. I love them so much. They're my livelihood. Okay, so I'm gonna say a little comment on that. That was the author's note. my take on this is fuck Canon Midnight. Who says Canon? Canon Midnight. I fucking hate Canon Midnight. Canon Midnight can go suck a. Actually, no, she'll enjoy that. Canon Midnight can go die. Oh wait. Whatever. Point taken. I really don't like her. When she died, I was happy. I was like, ooh, yay, die. I don't like her because she is such a creep. She is such a fucking creep. I'm sorry, you don't say that about underage children. Ew, disgusting, right? Now, I do really love Fan in Midnight. Obviously, I'm saying about Midnight in My Hero Academia main. I know that she appears in Vigilantes, and we get to see a lot more of her in Vigilantes, but I've never seen Vigilantes, so I'm going off of just My Hero Academia, the anime, and the main concept, the main branch off, whatever. Point taken is, as I was saying, I love Fan in Midnight, the whole motherly type of figure, kind of whatever. This one, right? So it doesn't seem too OOC, or like, it doesn't seem like Midnight is changed up the personality. I mean, like, it does, because, like, let's be honest, Midnight's personality changes in fan fictions than in fan works. But I think I love fan work Midnight, and they changed her up in a way where she's just everything she is, except without the creepy factor. And then she's amazing. She's wonderful, right? I even see some areas where she is asexual, which I also really love the concept of her being asexual. That is absolutely hilarious, because if I sit here and think, what is the most hilarious thing I would do? Yeah, I would probably, as an asexual who fits the asexual stereotype of being the most dirty-minded in the room and saying the most out of hand shit about characters who I find attractive, like saying, oh my god, me, him, back room, 24 hours, just going at it, right? I always get the weirdest of stares, because they're like, I remember I have this one friend who constantly would always, in the past, go, Echo, are you sure you're asexual? I'm like, yeah, I'm asexual. Why? And he would be like, dude, you just said you wanted to get railed by that person, right? That fictional character. And I would always reply with, yeah, I want to get railed by them. I'm asexual though. Like, sexually repulsed too. Like, not really into that. And he would be like, but you just said, and I'm like, I know what I said. He would be flabbergasted. Okay, on to Psychology Corner. Woo, Psychology Corner. Okay, so, Izuku's probably autistic in this one too. I mean, it doesn't say anywhere in the comments, or not comments, in the tags, but flappy hands, the way that he started talking about it so much to the point where he stopped breathing. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Probably, maybe. And the fact that Shouta has it does make it so that Izuku is more likely to also have it. If you have someone in your family with autism, you're most likely to have autism as well. Same with ADHD, right? We suspect that my mother has ADHD. She's not diagnosed. We suspect that my grandma has ADHD as well. I did I quote-unquote tested them. I can't legally tell them that they have ADHD or legally diagnose them. I don't have the criteria. I don't have the medical work. But I did go over the DSM-5 with them, explain to them the symptoms and whatever, and they presented more than half of the symptoms. Way more than half of the symptoms. Like, enough for if I was a medical, therapist, I'd be like, yeah, no. Yeah, you probably, yeah. Yeah, I think it's time for me to send you to a specialist. To a psychiatrist to be able to do the whole evaluation to see if they could diagnose you. Which, by the way, did you know therapists aren't allowed to do that? Specifically with ADHD, I know for a fact, and autism. You are to go to a separate person. You have to go to a psychologist to get you, evaluated for ADHD or autism. It's something that you have to do. Which I didn't know beforehand until, obviously, my siblings had to go through that process and stuff like that. But, yeah. So, definitely think Izuku has that. Also, I want to talk about Shouta and generational trauma. He is scared of repeating the cycle, clearly, but Shouta, you're not going to do that. You are already doing so much better because you're physically there. You are there. You already broke the cycle. Someone who wasn't going to break the cycle and would continue the cycle would have abandoned him. You haven't abandoned them. And you know what? Hisashi's right. You know, like, if they abandon Shouta, who was autistic, right? What do you think they're going to do to Izuku, who's quirkless? You are a better parent than any of them. And you know what? You are parent material, and I understand why he's hesitant. A lot of the times when you come from not so well family homes and, you know, backings of family where you didn't have a stable life or a stable home or a good home, you tend to fear being a parent because you fear making the mistakes that your parents did. You fear going through and, you know, creating generational trauma or continuing generational trauma. You fear that. And that is valid, but at the same time, understand that you can't let your field dictate you. If you really want kids, have kids, but understand what your parents did wrong and what you can do right, right? And understand you're going to have some mishaps. Some things are going to happen. Mishaps happen. But the thing is, it's not the mistakes you make, it's what you do after you make the mistakes that count, you know? Especially with kids and stuff like that. So I think Shouta would be amazing parent material, just saying. Anyways, enough of the psychology corner. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.